Hello, hello. So, the reason I'm making this video today is because I'm seeing a lot of conversation in the Discord group about sizing, scaling, trading better small, taking too big of losses when they increase size. But first off, you obviously need a profitable strategy. We have members, many members in the Discord group who are very profitable, and I have a link to that below. But once you find a system or something profitable, you start to realize that scaling up is not always as simple as it seems. We will cover that in this video, including my struggles with this. And if you get anything out of this video, I'd appreciate like, subscribe. But yeah, so let's dig right in. So common scaling problems for discretionary traders. So traders usually think if I can make $300 risking 300 shares, I'll make $3,000 with 3,000 shares. But when you actually size up, the results are usually the same size or slightly larger winners, bigger losers, less confidence, and more emotional decisions. So you stop, and why is this? So you stop trading the setup, you trade the money. So what do I mean by that? You're no longer thinking, what is the chart telling me? You're thinking, I'm up $700, I don't want to lose it. And that shifts your edge. And also, like if you were only used to making a certain amount, once you get to that amount, instinctively, you're going to want to start taking profit. The problem with that is your size is much larger. So, which brings you to the next point, bigger losses. So bigger losses, regardless of if you're taking the profit the same way, your losses is always going to be at least 2x, if not more. And why is that? Kind of going back to what I was saying, you're so used to taking profit at a small amount. Now, when you see that amount and you scale it up, you're instinctively wanting to secure the trade instead of waiting for, let's say you double your size. If you're used to making $200, you'll need to wait to make $400 to make that size worth it because your risk is 2x what it was. And fear creeps in. So every candle goes against you feels like a threat. You tighten up, you exit early, you avoid re-entries, and you just miss the clean retest because you're in your head too much. And your execution slips. So you're more reactive, you hesitate on stops, and then the loss grows, and even hesitate on entries. A lot of times you'll see traders or trades that you would have crushed with small size, and that is the very thing that helped you grow. So stay in process, focus goes out the window when size hijacks your mind. So the result, I kind of already covered some of this. You don't get paid for the risk you're taking. Your risk versus reward collapse, not because your system's broken, but because you can't pull the trigger the same way under pressure. And I have a little example. Obviously, this is an extreme example from small size to big size, but I've seen this, I've experienced it. So 1,000 shares, you're used to bringing in 20 cents a trade. And then with 5,000 shares, you might only be settling for 8. You are making more money, twice the money, but your size is 5x. So then when you take a loss, a lot of times it's going to be close to that 5x. And I noticed with myself trading much smaller, my confidence is through the roof. And obviously with the big size, no one likes taking larger losses. So this is kind of like a simplified example of that. And then why scaling up changes everything. So the psychological side, pressure equals now you're trading different. You're a different trader. At small size, you trade the setup, detach, logical, it's smooth. Almost similar to, and I've never paper traded, but it's a similar concept with paper trading because you're comfortable in that environment. Small size, you should be slightly less comfortable than that environment, considering it's fake money, but similar concept. At smaller size, you're trading the setup, detach, logical, and smooth selling. At big size, you trade your emotions, scared to lose, and eager to lock gains in, and a lot of times it's too early. And another thing is you think you're scaling your edge, but what you're really scaling is like your emotional response. People underestimate what type of emotional mental toll goes into increasing size, especially if you do it too rapidly. And then obviously the financial side, what I was talking about as well, more risk equals different math. And what I mean by that is when you scale up, your risk per trade a lot of times jumps exponentially, but you don't feel that risk until it moves against you. And by then you're already frozen. So the results, a lot of times you'll cut winners short to protect profit, but you don't cut losers early because it's quote unquote, too big to take now. And that's how small red trades days turn into a big hole. So the next one is the cognitive dissonance loop. So scaling triggers a lot of second guessing. So, whether it's, the thoughts you have in your head, whether this is too much size, should I trim? Or if I trim now, it'll drop, and it drops, I'll regret it. If I hold, it'll bounce, and then I'll be mad at myself. So it creates a lot of paralysis. And the freeze and the paralysis that I'm talking about, that can cost thousands once you scale up, because I'm shorting small caps and pre-markets, mostly that just dropped a PR and it's shooting to the sky. I do not have time to freeze. It's not for the faint of heart. Maybe you stumbled across my video and your trading is much different, but I don't have a chance to freeze up. This isn't a slow, trade that's building up. No, like this thing is moving. So I have to, already have a game plan going into this trade, how much I'm willing to risk. If I do add more size, where I'm going to add the size in, where I'm going to take profit. And of course, I let price action decide a lot of that once I'm in it, but the amount I'm willing to lose and where I'm going to get out most of the time stays firm unless I see something new developing in that trade or I miss the key level that I'm interested in trading. So the outcome is you don't trade worse, you trade different. So, and this is kind of the key message. I have came to the realization that this is for me. The setup didn't stop working. I did. And I micromanage entries. I cover winners too quick. I hesitate on clean stops. And the P&L distribution flips, smaller wins and bigger losses. And that is not a winning strategy. And I'm going to dig into this a little deeper. So what I mean by that is, so it's easy to take, depending on your size, $100, $200, or even $1,000 loss. That's how it is for me. But when I'm playing heavy and extremely volatile stocks, like I trade, that 1,000 can go to 2,000, can go to 5,000 in one candle. The psychology behind it is simple, though. I mean, it's easy to take small losses, but if I get caught, with my pants down, it's hard to force myself to intentionally take a loss that is much larger than I planned. It's hard for your brain to comprehend intentionally taking, a large loss, but discipline is doing the hard thing before it, becomes the impossible thing that can take you out of the game. I'd rather exit in pain than to hold in denial. So easier said than done, right? I agree. I still, haven't perfected it. So that is why I recommend sizing down until you're truly comfortable. I have no, there's no stops in pre-markets unless you, do something fancy. A few people have explained ways you can to have stops in pre-market, but long story short, there's no stops in pre-market. So I have to be alert and ready if I slip up, because you're not only battling the stock, but you're battling your mind. So small losses feel manageable is the point, and they don't threaten your ego, account, pride, any of that. But big losses, they trigger fight or flight. The brain says, well, maybe it'll come back. I'll keep scaling up. You're scaling up when it's a breakout and there's no reason to scale up. Like you start making flawed decisions and freeze up, not because you're greedy, but because cutting it means that you're you're locking in, for lack of better words, more pain than you expected. So what changed when I sized down? So after getting burned a few times and having a few large losses and very disappointing months, I pulled back my size. I was almost getting intimidated by some of the traders in my own group because they were pulling in like consistent 5-figure days. 2 traders hit 20K plus days. And I didn't realize it at the time, but it made me want to scale up for the wrong reasons. And I really wasn't in the right headspace. And, and I'll kind of leave it at that. So what changed when I sized down? Oops. I wasn't as stressed. I stopped covering winners too early. I didn't freeze in trades. I caught bigger moves because I wasn't afraid of every little bounce. And I ended up making about the same P&L, which is kind of wild, but it's true. I cut my size in half, almost expecting my profits to drop substantially too, but something weird happened. They didn't. I made 43K in August and 31K last month, which is not my best months for the year, but it's on track for my good months this year. So obviously January and February, I was up 100K by the end of February, but still solid results between the two, over 70K in 2 months. But the best part was my mental peace. That's why this graphic's there. And my current approach to size and why it's working. So after scaling down and finding consistency, I've stayed mostly small the last few months or very small the last few months, and I'm totally okay with it. But now when I see an A+ setup, I'm not afraid, to press it. So my current approach to sizing, I trade comfortable size most of the time. And the reason I said most of the time is because recently I have started scaling up on some setups I really like. Hold winners longer, letting the trade work, and my execution is calmer, cleaner, and more focused. I'm not trying to prove anything anymore. I'm just trying to trade well. But when the market hands me something juicy, I'm also ready to step on the gas if I need to. And Friday was a perfect example. I made over 5K. That's the last trading day because I sized up on a setup I've seen hundreds of times. That was a retest from a pre-market high, and I'm comfortable in that setup. I know where to get out, and I knew that there was a good chance it was going to fade, and it played out how I wanted it to. So that's the difference now, though. It's earned, not forced. It's not every trade. I'm still trading small, but when I see the setups I like, I'm not afraid to add, double my size, or if not more. And if you want to learn what I define as an A+ setup, then you can tune into my free live streams here on YouTube, or you can join the Discord. I have a link in the description and a free trial. But you don't need to size big every day to trade big. You just need to know when to strike, basically. So, and the 5K day was, like I said, last Friday. I've started sizing back up gradually when I see the right setups, and all this was on live in Discord as well in the end of day fades and after hours. So a lot of the members were on and called it, and they also called some pretty solid plays as well. And to wrap it up, just the key lessons I've learned about scaling is more size doesn't mean more profit, just more pressure. I made the same money at smaller size, or almost the same money at smaller size, by holding longer and, like I was saying, just being at peace in the position, letting it play out. Big size exposes bad habits, especially cutting winners early. Losses get way bigger, way faster, especially in the type of stocks I trade. And when I was larger, I froze more, overmanaged more, and trusted the charts less. So scaling down improved my focus, patience, and execution. And now I only scale up when it's an A+ setup. And yeah, to wrap it up, I hope all this makes sense. It's something that I've been battling with recently as well, and I wanted to share my thoughts on it. And I would appreciate likes and subscribes to learn more, and I hope this breakdown helps someone. But always remember, this is not financial advice, educational purposes only. I'm just sharing what I've learned on my trading journey. But before I bounce, I have to get out a shout out to the Bears in the Discord group. We are currently doing a free 7-day trial here, but some incredible wins the last couple of days. This was Friday, $1,500. Got a $70 win there, $1,100 win with little Jimmy. CJ, almost $3,500. Alex, got him a nice win there. There's my $5,000 win. Bohisto, Joey. So just a lot of good stuff going on in the Discord. And if you want to be a part of it, we do have a free trial. And on that note, I will wrap up, but hope to see you all on live stream on Monday.